Hi everyone, I just thought I would give you all a little YouTube chat about the class on the 28th. As you all know, we're going to use this beautiful painting called We Were Walking in the Foothills, painted by Julia Chance. This is actually a photograph on my computer screen, hence why you see all these little funny things around. And hopefully by the actual day I will have the actual painting to show you. All depending on certain things. Obviously with COVID at the moment, it's sometimes a little bit difficult collecting things. So what I wanted to really bring home today is what you actually need for the class. And what you do need is some papers to create a collage. And I just wanted to show you something here that I've worked on. We're actually going to be looking at this painting, but we can't do the whole thing in the 3 hours that we have. So I want to try and home in on a certain area, and I would like you to perhaps choose that area. I chose this particular area here, and I created this collage here, just using torn up pieces of paper, coloured paper. But you could look at this area here. You could look at this. I think this area down here is quite lovely with these stripes and this lovely geometric shape going through it. Down here we've got some lovely painterly sort of directions and textures going on. And here we've got some very interesting little textures going on. So going back to this area that I created, I used this and I formatted with my bits of paper just some blocks of colour, and I use various bits. This actually was from a TV Times advert for Doc Martin. This was actually a bit of plain sugar paper that I just used some pencil marks on to give it a bit of direction, just looking at this texture here. Now don't get too hung up on things looking exactly like they do here. Obviously this is about building up blocks of colour and fabric. We're going to actually, use this to create a fabric piece, which we're then going to machine into. So we'll create a lot more texture and can add more and more colour to it. So I just wanted to discuss, if I swing over here, some of the fabrics that you can use. Here I've got a bit of plastic. Velvets are great. If you've got any sort of old sort of samples from curtains or cushions or any interior things that you might have done. Nets are great if you've got any bits of organza or chiffon. These are old little silk tops that you can buy, which some of you might have, and these are great for pulling apart. So for example here I might pull this apart and actually put it on top of my fabric to help me create this area here when I go into the machine embroidery. So organzas, nets. I've even got this sort of plastic netting that I've used here, and I cut out a shape. This here is going through my actual piece of collage fabric, and here is what I've sort of put together using my fabrics. So I put the net on top, and I'm going to put this bit of organza up here. I haven't pressed this yet, I'm still sort of working on it, and here you can see I've started taking these pieces apart. But what I will do, I will actually take these off and then add them later when I start machine embroidery. So you can see I'm starting to build the collage up using my piece of fabric, my piece of paper here. You can see I'm starting to build it up, just building up blocks and blocks of colour. Now, this can be kept very simple at this stage because we're going to add all the texture with the machine stitching, and we can always add some more bits to it like afterwards. So this is just, think about this as a basic block. So what I really want you to do is to think about what papers you have. If you haven't got any, perhaps start collecting some in the next few weeks and using this as your influence. And if you wanted to home in on a certain area, this area down here is quite nice, please do. This area, it looks fantastic as well. Now, we don't want the piece to be that big, no bigger than A4. This is actually slightly smaller than A4. I've made this quite square. And we're going to look and discuss about composition. How do you format a shapes? How do you make that look aesthetically pleasing to the eye? Now, we also need for the class some pelmet violin. We're going to actually put our collage onto this. And you also need a piece of iron-on violin. This is weight F220 and it's got an iron on one side. So what I've done here, I've actually got my iron-on violin underneath and I've just built up the blocks of fabric using this as sort of my inspiration. Referring back to the photograph as the original painting as well, and I'm going to iron this all down. Now certain pieces like this is a bit of plastic, so I can't obviously iron this, and I will bring that back in. So photograph your work, and we'll be working on this as we go along. So remember to bring your cameras to the lesson so we can photograph things as we go along. And remember your papers and all your lovely bits of fabric. And just to show you, I'm going to just take you down here. This is actually my drawer full of bits of I just tear out magazines, and I keep all these in my drawer for various things. Here is where you can see, oh, it's Manhunt, there you go, ITV, Tomorrow Night, whatever. This is what I actually use the blue here, just to show you how you can use everyday magazines and everyday adverts for that area there. So have a look at what you can find, and I look forward to seeing you on the 28th.